National parks are beautiful until you understand how many people never come back from them. Every ranger has a story they wish they could forget, things they didn't put in the official reports because no one would believe them. Tonight's story comes from hikers and park workers who saw something or someone out there that still can't be explained. If you're new here, subscribe and join the Nightmare Society, because these are the true national park horror stories they still can't explain. When I rolled the body over, his eyes opened, not because he woke up, but because someone behind me whispered his name. I'm a volunteer EMT in the Great Smoky Mountains, and this happened last spring during what should have been a routine call. I responded to twisted ankles, dehydration, even a heart attack on the switchback, but nothing has stayed with me the way this incident has. Park dispatch radioed in around 6:20 PM. A hiker had found a body on the trail. That's the exact phrase he used. Not a man lying down, not someone's hurt, a body. That wording alone usually tells you how bad it is. The location was about 2 miles up a popular route. I took the ATV as far as I could, then I hiked the last stretch. It was almost sunset, we were pushing daylight. About a mile from the coordinates, I met the caller. He was pale, hands shaking, pacing in tight circles. "He's dead, man," he kept saying. "He's dead. I didn't touch him." I tried calming him down, asked him to walk me to where he found the person. He refused. "He's right around that bend. I'm not going back. Something's wrong with him." I should have picked up that last part. Something's wrong with him, but adrenaline makes you focus narrow. The trail curved around a steep drop. When I rounded it, I saw the guy immediately. A man in his 30s, face down, body stiff. He wasn't moving, no backpack, just a water bottle half buried in the leaves. For all intents and purposes, it looked like a fatal fall. I knelt beside him to check vitals, and that's when I noticed something that didn't fit. His hands. They were positioned strangely, not sprayed out from a fall, not curled in natural rigor, but folded loosely beneath his chest, as if someone had placed them there. I called out to him anyway. No response. Skin cold. I reached to check for lividity and rolled him gently onto his back. His eyes snapped open. I almost dropped him. I swear I've never felt my heart hit my ribs like that. But this wasn't a case of someone waking up. His pupils didn't react. His breathing was shallow, slow, like his brain was running on backup battery. Before I could process what was happening, something else happened. Someone behind me whispered his name, clear as day, 3 feet away, a calm male voice. "Evan." I spun around so fast I slipped on the leaves. The trail was empty, silent. Even the caller was far out of sight. The injured man, Evan, began mumbling. Low, slurred, like he was half dreaming. "He said, 'Don't move me, please.'" His voice broke, his hands shook. I radioed base for immediate evac and vital support. I tried to keep him conscious, asking who he was with, what happened, whether he fell. But all he said was, "He told me stay still. He said, don't go." "Who told you that?" I asked. He whispered, "The man behind me." I asked him the obvious question. Was he hiking with someone? He made a sound I can only describe as dread. Then, still staring at the sky, he whispered, "I wasn't alone. He followed me. He froze me. He said he'd come back." The way he said, "come back," like it was a promise, sent a ripple down my spine. Evac took 20 minutes that felt like 2 hours. By the time paramedics arrived, Evan's pulse was dangerously weak. They airlifted him. I stayed to sweep the area for evidence. About 30 yards off trail, the ground dipped into a shallow depression, and that's where I found the second set of prints. A size I couldn't properly judge. The impressions were deep, close together, as if the person stood in the same spot for a long time, facing the trail, facing us. But the part that bothered me the most, there were no approach prints, no exit prints, just the two deep impressions, like someone had been standing there long enough to sink into the soil and then vanished. That night, the hospital called dispatch. Evan died en route, but before he coded, he said one last coherent sentence to the flight medic. "Don't let him put me back." Those were his last words. For the next week, multiple hikers reported hearing someone pacing behind them along the same stretch. Slow, deliberate, never catching up. When they turned around, no one was on the trail. 2 months later, a woman reported hearing a man whisper a name behind her. Not hers, but her brother's. The brother went missing in that park 5 years ago. Search logs show no animal activity, no recent suspects, nothing explainable. But I keep thinking about that whisper behind me, the voice that knew a dying man's name, and the fact it came from a spot where no one was standing. When I found the missing hiker curled against a boulder, he wasn't alone. Someone's hand was on his shoulder, but the person it belonged to was already gone. I'm a seasonal ranger in Rocky Mountain National Park, and this happened during my second year on the job. I've done dozens of missing person searches, but this one still keeps me awake, because it wasn't the hiker we found that scared me. It was the evidence that someone else was out there with him. The call came in at 4 PM. A 29-year-old man named Cameron hadn't returned from a solo day hike. His GPS tracker had stopped pinging around noon. Weather was moving in, so we pushed hard. Fresh snow makes tracking almost impossible. By the time we reached the coordinates, daylight was bleeding out of the sky. My partner spotted a backpack half buried in slush, lying 20 feet off the trail. That's never good. People drop water bottles, hats, trekking poles, but never their entire pack. About 50 yards downslope, we found him. He was curled in a fetal position against the boulder, breathing shallow, muttering something. His fingers were blue, but the part that froze me, it wasn't him. It was the handprint on his shoulder. A clear smear in the snow where someone had grabbed him, someone besides us. We shouted, thinking another hiker was nearby. No answer. My partner did a quick perimeter sweep while I tried talking to the guy. He kept whispering the same phrase. "Don't go back up there, don't go back up there." His eyes were unfocused, moving like he was tracking someone standing directly behind me. We radioed for evac, and while we waited, I noticed something else was wrong. Footprints, 2 sets, coming down the slope. One matched the missing hiker's boots, the other was barefoot. Human, bare sole, heel, toes, in snow and rock. No way. My partner saw them too and mouthed, "What the hell?" The barefoot trail followed the hiker's prints all the way down to the boulder, then circled behind it, stopping just 10 feet behind where we found him. Then, nothing. Like the person stepped backwards into the tree line and vanished. Evac arrived. We got him out. He survived, but barely. Hypothermia, dehydration, early frost nip. 3 days later, I visited him in the hospital to complete the standard ranger report. When he saw me enter, he stiffened. "Is he with you?" I told him no one else was there. He asked me to close the blinds. Then he told me what he remembered. He swore he stayed on trail, but around early afternoon, he heard footsteps pacing behind him. Too slow to be an animal, too heavy to be a child. Every time he turned, nothing. At some point, he felt breath on the back of his neck. He started running. He said he slipped near the ridge and hit his head. Everything blurred. The next thing he remembers was waking up to someone touching his shoulder, whispering right in his ear, "Downhill, don't turn around." He asked if we ever found the other person. When I told him there was no one else, he started shaking so violently the nurse had to come in. I cut the interview short. That's where the official report ends. But there's something I didn't include. During the search, we found one more thing. A mile upslope, just off the ridge, in a patch of snow we almost didn't check. There was a drag mark, like someone had been pulled for several feet. The snow behind that point was disturbed, chaotic, but there were no outgoing footprints. No bare, no booted, nothing. It was like whatever was out there never walked away. The area was quickly closed for unstable terrain, but every ranger who worked that search knows the real reason. A barefoot person doesn't stalk a hiker through snow in sub-freezing temperatures, and they definitely don't disappear without leaving tracks. 2 months later, another hiker reported hearing pacing footsteps behind him on the same trail, slow, deliberate, matching his stride. And last winter, base radio received an SOS call from an unknown number. A man whispered, "Don't go back up there," before the line cut out. When we traced the signal, it pinged from the ridge where we found the bare footprints. The radio crackled with a Ranger distress code we retired years ago, and the voice using it belonged to a ranger who died on that mountain in 2011. I'm a communications tech for Glacier National Park. I'm not a ranger. My job is maintaining radios, repeaters, and the emergency frequencies the rangers rely on. I've heard everything from broken ankles to bare charges come through the speakers. Nothing surprises you after a few seasons. Well, except for this. Last August we received a Ranger 14 emergency code. You see, that number doesn't exist anymore. It belonged to a ranger named Alan Brooks who died in a fall back in 2011. His ID was retired permanently after the investigation. Nobody, and I mean nobody, uses that designation. But at 6:42 AM, the radio lit up with "Ranger 14 requesting immediate assistance." I froze. My co-worker looked at me like I played a prank. Before we could respond, the voice continued, "North Ridge, marker 83, injured hiker, possibly fatal." The tone, the cadence, it sounded just like Alan. Same calm, clipped way he spoke when he was out on patrols. The park's morning patrol team was already out, so they radioed back, assuming someone had accidentally keyed the wrong ID. No response. They tried again. Nothing. So 2 rangers, both experienced guys, they headed towards marker 83. It takes about 40 minutes to reach that ridge on foot. During that time, we kept trying the channel. No interference, no static, no chatter. Just one more transmission, exactly 10 minutes after the first. "He's still breathing." Then silence. When the team reached the coordinates, they found an empty clearing. No hikers, no injuries, nothing disturbed except a small patch of flattened grass. And something else. One of the rangers radioed back, "There's an old camp up here, looks abandoned, looks really old." The tent was collapsed, some rotted, half swallowed by dirt and roots. Inside were rusted cookware, a cracked Nalgene bottle, and a melted flashlight. But the strangest part? The tent poles were still standing in the exact formation Glacier Rangers used before 2010, including the free state grounding pattern we no longer teach. It was a ranger camp, an old one that had no reason to be there. And sitting in the dirt near the entrance was a torn, weather bleached name patch. Brooks, the exact tag Alan used to wear. The two rangers stopped searching after finding that. They knew the mountain's history, because here's the part I haven't mentioned. Alan Brooke died on that same ridge near a sheer drop where the trail narrows. He slipped during a recovery mission and fell nearly 200 feet. His body was recovered a day later. His Ranger was found smashed beyond repair. His ID was retired, his call sign retired, his locker sealed. No one touched Ranger 14 again, so we have two possibilities. One, a radio hacker used a frequency we don't broadcast publicly. Two, or someone out there had a functioning device set to a code abandoned over a decade ago. Looking at it, neither made sense. Later that afternoon, we pulled the repeater logs. Every transmission stamps a signature pattern, like a fingerprint, unique to the radio that sent it. When I ran the analysis, my stomach dropped. The signature matched Alan's old unit, the one destroyed in the fall, the one the investigation report listed as non-functional beyond repair. We assumed it had been crushed, but the forensic notes said the circuit board was never recovered. That night, the lead ranger asked to hear the audio again. We played it on loop in the comms room. The room went quiet. He didn't look at me when he said, "That's Alan. I'd bet my life on it." I asked him the question nobody wanted to ask. Is it possible someone found his radio and learned to mimic him? The ranger shook his head. I pulled Alan's report. His last transmission, right before the fall, was from the same coordinates he gave today. He looked physically sick. We searched that ridge for 4 days after he died. There was nothing there. No camp, no gear, no shelter, no patch. We combed it. There was nothing. Nobody slept well after that. But here's the part that still messes me up. 2 weeks later, at 3:19 AM, the emergency channel activated again. One single transmission, just breathing, slow, controlled, the way rangers pace themselves when they're assessing an injured hiker. Then a faint whisper, "He's still breathing." Same voice, same cadence, same exact words. Except the channel wasn't open, the repeater wasn't active, and the radio logging software didn't register any transmission at all. It was like the audio played from inside the room. We pulled every camera. No one was near the equipment. We stopped trying to explain it, but every morning shift since then, I come in early and switch on the emergency receiver first. Not because I'm waiting for another call, because I'm terrified that one day it will come through and he'll say my name.